All right, I think we'll get started, and we might still have people rolling in, but it's I want to respect the time of those who joined us on time, and we have a very exciting agenda ahead of us for the next 90 minutes. Welcome, everyone. My name is Nisha Singh, and I am the thematic lead for gender transformative solutions with FinEquity. I'm based in Washington, DC, and I'm very excited to have all of you join this Asia Pacific regional session. I would really like to thank the teams from UNCDF and BRAC, who are our co-hosts and have put this session together. We have a very exciting agenda. As I said, you'll get to hear from a lot of exciting speakers, and hopefully you'll get to contribute and be a part of this discussion. I am going to now hand it off to Oishi from BRAC to introduce the session and take it over. So Oishi, the floor is yours virtually.
Thank you, Nisha. A very good morning to everyone who's joining from Asia Pacific, and to those who are joining us from the Eastern time zone and the Central time zone. I know it's late, so thank you very much for sticking around and joining this session. In today's session, we will focus on women in digital economies. Restrictive social and cultural norms limit women's economic opportunities and their ability to meaningfully participate in and benefit from digital economies. On top of that, COVID-19 has exacerbated some of these restrictions and brought about a multitude of new challenges to deal with, and an increase in poverty among women worldwide, and the Asia Pacific is no exception to it. In this session, we will explore our learning journey in understanding how to build inclusive digital economies for women, with a special focus on understanding and addressing normative constraints. We will also try to identify ways to ensure that digital financial services are women-friendly during the phase of recovery from this pandemic and beyond. We will also share some important lessons and best practices in supporting women, especially women entrepreneurs during the COVID-19 pandemic, and also discuss the barriers to the inclusion of women in digital financial services and the means to overcome some of these obstacles. Some of the key questions that we will try to uncover through this session today will be centered around crucial elements that are necessary to advance inclusive digital economies for women, and ways to understand and address these normative constraints. We will also try to identify where our efforts need to be focused in order to drive transformative change through gender mainstreaming and gender smart product and service design. We'll also hear our speakers share some interesting insights and about some of their projects and products that highlight the value of client-centric product design, and also delve into some examples or stories of women and their financial behaviors, challenges, and pain points that often inhibit their inclusion. Finally, we will also discuss the importance of developing multi-stakeholder partnerships in an effort to address specific challenges, and also how private sector, government leaders, policymakers, and also regulators can be a part of the solution to support an inclusive digital economy. During the first segment of the session, we will hear a series of lightning talks from our BRAC and UNCDF colleagues. They will be sharing insights about projects ranging from digital cash transfers during COVID-19 to gender smart products and insurance design, to funding digital solutions to enhance women enterprises. In the latter portion of the session, we will have an interactive conversation with you all and a panel discussion on the impact, challenges, and solutions in designing products for women in Asia Pacific, followed by a wrap-up and closing remarks. Since there's a lot of content to cover, we request the audience to leave their questions in the chat box, and we will try our best to get the specific speakers to answer them throughout the session. Now I'll pass it over to Nandini to walk you all through the interactive meet and greet survey that we've prepared. Thank you.
Hi, good morning and good evening and any other time to everyone joining today. I'm Nandini Hariyareshwara. I'm the lead gender focal point for the UN Capital Development Fund. It's my pleasure to be seeing all of you today. So just to get everybody warmed up a bit, we thought we'd start with interactive exercise. The question to think about is, what will people think? Right? So I just put the link in the chat. It's a Mentimeter link. Please go ahead and click on it. And the question really is helping people understand and helping us understand how this question, which is kind of the title of our session today for the regional Asia session, what will people think? How does this question impact your work on gender equality or women's economic empowerment? You can put in a couple different responses if that's of interest. Really it could be anything. I was kind of just joking around with our fellow panelists and speakers today and saying, well, a big impact for me was my parents wanted me to be a doctor, and I was not a doctor. I pursued something else. Social and cultural norms are sort of one of the big themes of today's sessions. And so we wanted to get people thinking about how social and cultural norms actually impact our work every day, whether it's for ourselves, whether it's for others. Act like a girl. I heard that when I was growing up. And I also wanted to invite Nisha to join in looking over the answers and seeing if she recognizes anything from our work, from her own personal story.
I actually don't see it, Nandini. So
the doctor piece?
No, I can't see the responses that have come in.
Oh,
sorry.
Oh, I am sharing screen, but let me stop and try again.
Yeah, Jurgi, you need to stop sharing your screen and allow Nandini to share, I think. Sorry. There we go.
Screen.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Act like a girl. I was told that all the time.
Yes.
Glass ceiling. Yes. New FOMO, if not digital. Yes, that's a very important one. As you know, I sit at the cusp of two generations.
I like there's pressure, right? Like there's the sandwich generation often, where you're expected to take care of your children, you're expected to take care of your parents, you're expected to work, you're expected to do everything. It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah. And I saw a comment in the chat in Zoom, barrier. Yes. What will people think? That is definitely sort of something that stops us from moving forward.
And this quote was inspired by, I think, Nisha, you and Antonique and others co-authored this paper on how to address social norms. And one of the case studies you shared was one of a communications campaign that happened in Turkey that actually used something like this, right? What will people think, or what will people say, as the kind of campaign title, right?
Yeah. It was a campaign run by a bank in Turkey, which asked people on Twitter, what comes to mind when you hear what will people say? And they got several thousand responses, and it highlighted how stereotypes about what women can and cannot do, should and should not do, often create a limitation for women. And so, it's putting front and center the issue of gender norms and bringing it up as something we need to address in financial inclusion.
I like the children focus on your kids first. I really like that. I like her husband helps. That's really interesting. So anyways, I think, I don't know, Nisha, you're the timekeeper. I think we might be at our 5 minutes, but I thought this was a nice way of getting everyone started on thinking about an important theme for today's session. Any last words, Nisha?
No, I mean, my attitude now with what will people think is just thinking about it positively and giving them something positive to think about. So hopefully we can move the needle in that direction.
Great answer. I think I am transitioning it, Georgie, if you don't mind moving to the next slide, to Moon Shaharan. So Moon, please take it away.
Thank you, Nisha. So good morning, everyone from Bangladesh. And I'm Moon, working as a digital lead at BRAC Microfinance. So as you can see on the screen, that I will be sharing our experience doing cash transfers and opening mobile money wallets during the pandemic. So in our experience, what we saw is that the pandemic has been a silver lining for us in terms of accelerating digitization. And the reason why I'm saying that is because we started digitization journey since 2013. And one of our focus has always been digital financial service, DFS. And how can we ensure that the client base that we serve are familiar with it? So our field staff sensitized clients at the field level, motivated them to use DFS, and we even had our own staff acting as agents, DFS agents, at the branch level to open mobile money wallets for our clients and taught them how to make payments. Because what we saw was during that time, especially the women clients, they were not really feeling comfortable going to a local shop to open their wallets. So that's something we saw really help them to come to our branch offices where they feel comfortable and open wallets. So still we could feel that there is room to do more, and started to think of interventions around that time. You know, how can we make sure that more clients are using DFS? However, when the pandemic hit Bangladesh in March, in April, we dispersed cash in the first round of cash relief project. And we saw that social distancing was an issue. So we immediately thought of giving the cash transfers, the next round of cash transfers through bKash. So bKash is one of the leading mobile financial service provider in Bangladesh. And so we saw that this became a reason for many of our clients, especially women, to start using bKash and open wallets. And many of our microfinance clients, they even started asking their savings through bKash. So that's something we thought that very encouraging, that, okay, wow, our clients are actually want to have bKash wallets and receive their savings. They feel safe to do that. So around that time, what we saw was in 2020, that 4 million people opened mobile wallets during that time in Bangladesh. And we did a survey in mid-July in 2020. And what we saw was in the first 3 months of the pandemic, around 37% of our clients, we surveyed around 1,600 clients, and we saw like 37% of them open wallets during that time. And so after that, what we saw was it was not really required for a staff to be present there to open the wallets for our clients. Rather, clients were interested on their own to go to the local agents or to the local areas to open wallets. And at that time, the regulations were also a bit lenient in opening wallets, which really prompted more female clients to open wallets during that time. And in that survey, we also asked our participants that whether they are happy to receive the cash transfers digitally or not. And 89% of them said that they were happy to receive it through bKash. So I think the overall experience and from the study, it proves that clients need an incentive and other benefits of using digital financial services. We have seen that even people who are technologically resistant can be brought into the digital ecosystem and start adopting new technology when they feel that the service truly benefits them. And now I feel like there is no looking back. There is a lot needs to be done, and we need to work towards building an ecosystem that would be beneficial for our clients, for which financial providers, MFS providers, telecom operators, and regulators, we all need to come together, complement each other to take it to the next level. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Moon. And now we move to William. William, the floor is yours.
And good morning, everyone. First of all, thanks for giving me the chance to talk today about the Gender Smart Product Design Project, which collaborated between us, our BRAC Myanmar, and UNCDF. And I would like to introduce myself first. My name is Wei Hiao, and I'm working as a cluster operation manager and product lead for BRAC Myanmar Microfinance Company Limited. In BRAC, in Myanmar, BRAC was founded in 2013, and we are formally registered with two separate entities. One as an INGO, which work for the social development, and another one as a microfinance company limited for the financial inclusion. About BRAC Myanmar Microfinance Company Limited, we are currently serving the financial needs of more than 100,000 clients in 8 regions across Myanmar. As BRAC understands the importance of product diversification and meeting the various needs of the different client segments, we have launched and provided more than 5 types of financial products to serve the needs of those over like 100,000 clients who are from different business backgrounds and geographical contexts. As the main focus of our microfinance mission is to provide financial service to particularly the women living in the poverty and hard to reach areas. We have recognized and believed to help to reduce the gender gap in financial inclusion and promote the women entrepreneurship in Myanmar. Thus, 98% of our total clients are women business entrepreneurs, varying from street vendors to micro, small, and medium business owners living in various regions across Myanmar, but especially from the rural parts. Since before this Gender Smart product, we have experience working with UNCDF, and for the project called What Women Want project. It's a financial diary research project for which we did for the product development, testing, and customer certification of the women client. With the valuable information gathered from that project, we had launched 2 new financial products, one of which is specifically for the women MSMEs. As a BRAC product, where 98% of our clients are women, and we grew rapidly from between 2016 to 19, we have wanted to track the customer journey, from beginning to exit, and refine and develop the products for the customer satisfaction, retention, and growth. Thus, we entered this Gender Smart product design project with UNCDF as an implementing partner, and FMON as a technical support partners. The aim is to refine our product for women as MSME, as well as related social performance management interventions. And we started that project in January 2020. As the first step of the GSPD, Gender Smart Product Development Project, UNCDF had provided training on data analysis and product development with a gender-sensitive approach to the mid and senior management level from our BRAC Myanmar. The training had developed the capacity of BRAC staff on data analytics using different analytics tools like W and Excel. And for the product development, we learned the human-centric product development design and methodology. Additionally, BRAC was able to found the former product development team guided by the managing director with the support from the UNCDF at the time. At the training, we used the UNCDF FinScope Myanmar 2018 data and MIS data for data analysis and customer journey mapping. We use those data to address the customer pain points, our women clients' pain points and organization challenges, and the new proposed refinement, and we developed the product idea, and we produced a draft product design as a first step. And for the second step, we did a linked data survey. That's linked data survey conducted by the UNCDF and VMO, and on our 600 women micro enterprise clients to measure the SCG5 and SDG 8, gender equality and inclusive growth and enterprise outcomes. Survey questions include customer satisfaction, business profile, financial information, and household decision-making information of those MSME clients. Moreover, FGD and in-depth interview were also conducted to supplement that linked data survey by a team from UNCDF and the Columbia University. Using those data, we do like customer journey mapping for the specific MSME segments, and we use all these data sets from both supply and demand side. The FinScope, MIS, linked data survey, and FGD, we linked and created the integrated dashboard to finalize the product development design, which we produce at the first stage of the project. Some key insight I want to share from like this project, where through the analysis of these data sets, with the FGD, the first one is like 92% of women MSME, about 600,000 from remote province, informal and unable to get access to large enterprise loan. For the group loan women micro MSME clients, the regular biweekly meeting is a barrier. And for individual women MSME clients, we found that visiting a branch to make repayment is a barrier due to time and the cost spent for them. And like we also found that like only 1/3 of women group clients are aware of our new individual women MSME loan product, and 18% of women MSME clients in group loan don't have full control over the loan. Using these customers' insights, BRAC product team has finalized and the product design and provided the recommendation on the new product changes and social performance related interventions, potential business cases, and expansion plans to the new rural province with high potentiality. Although some recommendation, honestly, like from the project are delayed due to COVID and current country situations, some we can like conduct some we can do some recommendation like developing financial literacy and digital channel for women MSME clients, and reducing some preconditions for women MSME loans for informal women-owned enterprise. We have done that to improve the customer journey of women MSME clients. From our organization. Additionally, the project has also benefited us by equipping our product development team member of BRAC on data analysis and client-centric product development knowledge with gender-sensitive approach. For all these changes, I would like to thank to all the partners who work with us in this gender smart product design project and provided all the necessary supports along the journey. Especially Carvel from like UNCDF and Robin, we work together along the journey, and we got a lot of support from them. So I would like to especially mention them, and also would like to thanks to them. And also I also would like to thank CCAP, UNCDF, and BRAC again for giving me the chance to share about the project in this event. Thank you all.
Great, thank you very much, William, for this wonderful insights from Myanmar. And now over to Krishnan.
Yeah, very good morning, very good afternoon to all participants. Thank you very much to the organizers for this opportunity, specifically to Nandini for reaching out to me for being part of this, this wonderful initiative. I am the lead technical specialist for UNCDF for insurance and climate adaptation. I also manage the Pacific Insurance and Climate Adaptation Program based in Fiji, but right now I'm on my annual leave in India, so I'm in your time zone. So let me just briefly tell you about what we have done particular to this program. So this program is a successor of the very popular Pacific Financial Inclusion Program that ran between 2008 and 2021. And of the over 2 million like Pacific Islanders who were financially included through the various projects, nearly 44% were women. And in Fiji specifically, along with the Reserve Bank of Fiji, we have done demand side and supply side data, which fed into the new gender and social inclusion strategy that we have developed for this new program. This new program focuses on climate and disaster risk insurance. It's a first of its kind in the Pacific, which looks at micro and meso level interventions that will ensure immediate post catastrophic events liquidity or cash payments directly into the mobile wallets or bank accounts of the beneficiaries. This is because of the unique vulnerability of the region in its exposure to natural hazards, namely cyclones, volcanic eruptions, tsunamis, and some parts of the Pacific also face drought. So this was an intervention that was launched early this year, and within 6 months of the launch of the program, the first parametric micro insurance product for the region was launched in August 2021. So while we went ahead with the product launch, we also ensured that the approaches that the program took were gender responsive. So this was based on market needs assessment, which was done prior to the product development. That included research on the vulnerabilities of women and other socioeconomic aspects through literature reviews and field studies, the type of natural hazards that they were impacted by, the impact of natural hazards on their livelihoods, the financial instruments that they presently use, what they would like to use, their existing coping mechanisms, their demand for various disaster risk financing instruments, etc. This, as I said earlier, was coupled with the demand and supply side studies that we had done in 2020 with the Reserve Bank of Fiji. And then thereafter, the disaster risk financing trainings that that this program has set up with partners, including with the UN Women and various CSOs that directly work with women, for example, the Fiji Women's Fund, the Ministry of Women, etc. The tailoring of this training was done so that it is very relevant for women, the risk that they were exposed to, the responsibilities that they had after a disaster struck, which includes both in terms of putting food on the table, taking care of children, as well as rebuilding their lives. So therefore, this disaster risk financing trainings is all focused specifically on the needs of women. Going forward, what the program intends doing is to conduct a marketing study, which will be done with the local insurance companies to determine what other products that the existing groups of women that may be interested in, what are the types of payment mechanisms that they would like to use, and what type of channels that they prefer. Because currently it's like group aggregation done through cooperatives, whether they would like to have different approaches in terms of say aggregation. There will also be product feedback and improvement after the studies that are going on for the current product is concerned, how well this has been received by the various groups, how well has the digital interventions worked, how well has the mobile wallet penetration helped, whether there needs to be some policy measures that need to be taken. So this will all be fed into in this research that will be started in early 22. What we have so far done is to make sure that the products that are available now are gender inclusive, and in all the partner programs that we implement, and the UNCDF, as many of you know, partners with financial service providers and intermediaries for providing grants and technical assistance. So we have a 6-phased approach, which includes that at the project development level, we make sure that the enrollment for women is easy. There are no hurdles there. Whether there are relevant use cases for women, whether they will find a use for such products like insurance. It's not easy to sell insurance anywhere in the world, and more so in a very difficult market like the Pacific. Whether the access is available in close proximity to where what women live and work. Then in terms of the communication or the marketing and the publicity, whether it is women-centered communication, and then we have reasonable data in terms of phone ownership. So there we are working with both the leading telecommunication companies in increasing the smartphone ownership for women by offering them reasonably good competitive packages so that they can own smartphones, and then whether there is access to complementary services that they would need. So this is how this program has approached mainstreaming gender into the programming and looking at designing and delivering of insurance products for women with a gender lens. Thanks. Over.
Great. Thank you, Krishnan, for the impressive results and also for the ambitious plans on designing insurance products for women with gender lens. And now over to Nandini.
Thank you, Gorgi. Do you mind switching to the next slide, please?
Sure.
As I said before, I'm Nandini Hariyareshwara. I'm the lead gender focal point for the UN Capital Development Fund's Inclusive Digital Economies Division. Today, I'm going to give a lightning talk on an initiative that I'm particularly proud of that UNCDF has put forward in collaboration with SCAP, FMO, Australia Aid, the Government of Canada, and Visa. And it's called the Women's Enterprise Recovery Fund, now known as WERF. Next slide, please. So 3 quick things we'll talk about. What is WERF? Where is WERF? And kind of what has it accomplished? And then the emerging insights. Yes, next slide. So we know the challenge, right? Everyone in the room knows that women-owned enterprises comprise 23% of MSMEs and account for 32% of the MSME finance gap. In every country that we work in, or almost every country, there's a huge gender gap in MSME ownership and MSME financing. So this initiative it works to try to address those. Next slide, please. So our expected results is to be showcasing viable digital solutions and sustainable business models that address these gaps. Next slide. So this round, WERF has actually gone through 6 different iterations. So when I share the learnings, it'll be from those iterations. But these 6 focus areas were for this particular iteration, where we invited private sector from these 5 focus areas, agritech, insurtech, supply chain financing, digital tools for women SMEs, and investability in financial literacy, and some combine them to apply for a combination of technical assistance and grants. Next slide. So the benefits were pitching support, acceleration support, and investment support. And you can see some of the benefits to the applicants here. Next slide. So where is the WERF? It works in the Asia Pacific region: Cambodia, Bangladesh, Fiji, Indonesia. Yeah, and we have UNCDF. Our partners have committed quite a bit of money, and then our partners that we've given support to have also raised quite a bit of money and contributed quite a bit of money to this effort. And we've reached something like almost 3 million clients through our 6 iterations. Next slide, please. So these are all the locations: Nepal, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Vietnam, Cambodia, Indonesia in this iteration. Next slide. So emerging insights, very quickly. So when I've done both talking with the 9 out of the 10 prize recipients of this year's WIRF, as well as some of the program managers that have managed through the multiple iterations of this project. And these are the 5 insights that seem to be the most important to share with our community today. One is, I think we are still in search of the training unicorn, right? So women, and really everyone, but especially women, prefer one-on-one individual or at least personal physical training where they can see the person and talk to the person. However, that's very costly. So many of the platforms that we're working with today are searching for that hybrid model between physical touch and digital reach that allow for the women entrepreneurs and women that they work with to be sufficiently trained. But I don't know if anyone has reached that training unicorn yet. The second is, what's Gov got to do with it is actually what I originally wrote. I think it got edited. But really, what does government have to do with it? And one of the challenges that I've heard from program managers is even when government mandates financial service providers to increase their access to finance for women entrepreneurs or women, sometimes those mandates aren't actually served and aren't actually delivered. And it's when the government actually engages and monitors and actually responds in kind saying, hey, you haven't done this or you have done this, that often you see change. So the government has a lot to do with it. Third is watch your digital assets. So one of the big challenges for women is that they often don't have access to collateral and therefore can't have access to capital. In many of the prize recipients, especially this year, are offering digital collateral-free credit to women entrepreneurs. And this is based on their digital transaction history. So if they have transaction history with a bank or with a mobile network operator or a fintech, based on that data, their risk is assessed. And so one of the warnings now is make sure that that is in your name, the woman, and not in your husband's name or your male business partner, but in your name. Because if we're trying to ensure that they have those digital assets, which is their transaction history, we have to make sure it's in their name. Fourth is the COVID-19 impact. Lockdowns have had an impact on not just closing businesses, not just stopping businesses, but also really reducing a business's interest in taking on debt and taking on risk. And so this has had a big impact on all of our prize recipients. Lastly is the universe of customer segments goes beyond women who don't have access to phones and don't have access to bank accounts. Our panelists in the next few minutes will talk a little bit about this, especially our panelists from Indonesia, Alicia Ezra, the CEO of ASICS, and their customer base are women who already have smartphones and already have bank accounts, but still have certain challenges and barriers that women especially are facing in accessing these digital products. So I call them first generation challenges and second generation challenges. Thanks for your time. Thanks for joining us today. And I'll send it back to Georgi.
Thanks, Nandini. And now we will have a panel discussion. So I will hand the mic to Luan for that part of the session. Luan, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Georgie. Great. Well, we're actually going to go in a break in a few minutes. But before we do, I first want to, so by the way, my name is Luan. I'm a director of partnerships with IDEO.org. I'm calling in from the San Francisco Bay Area. It's evening for me. These are the wonderful panelists that you'll hear from after the break. We're gonna go into the interactive part of this session. We're gonna have a big group dialogue, and we're gonna use a platform for that that's called Creative Tensions, which is designed by IDEO together with the Sundance Institute. I'm gonna invite everybody to register. I'm putting a link in the Zoom chat. We'll be back here at, it's 43 past the hour for myself, 46 past the hour, 16 past the hour if you're in IST. While you're on break, please register through the link in the chat, and it will take you less than a minute, and we'll come back in a second.
if you're having trouble with signing up, just put it in the chat and we'll try and walk you through it. What you're seeing on the screen is my screen where I've signed up. And I see more and more people are joining.
Yeah, 13, great. We're actually seeing the screen, the screen share by Georgie, I believe. Oh yeah, there you go, great. Give people a couple more minutes.
Taposi, you're having trouble. All you need to do is when you click on the link, just type in your name and you can either select a picture, an avatar, you just create temporary profile. That's what you need to select. Don't try and sign in with Google, just say create temporary profile.
What's the problem, Taposi?
And Daniel, could I ask you to allow everybody to be able to speak for this next part? Because I just realized we'll need to have allowed to speak. So,
okay.
Yeah, make sure everybody can unmute themselves and speak when needed, when they have something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And can you unpin or can you pin all of the panelists or either unpin all of us that we can really have a group discussion?
Okay, yeah, I was going to pin the panelists. I just need them to turn on their video or else I can't,
okay.
can't pin them. Yeah. So
Moon,
whenever they get back. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and one last request. Can you put up the slide that has our 4 faces again before we go into the Creative Tensions platform? It's very stressful to be the tech person on these Zoom calls always. Great. All right, let's get started, everybody. Welcome back. I hope you all managed to get into the platform. I see we have 26 participants, whereas 49 participants in Zoom. So if there are some people who still are trying to join, please put in the chat if you're running into any issues. Great, wonderful. Well, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go into Creative Tensions, which is a platform that allows for a group dialogue, a dynamic group dialogue. It's a very engaging experiment. Everybody in this room is invited to participate in a conversation. We have wonderful panelists. I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves in a minute. They would serve as conversation catalysts. So meaning they get an opportunity to share their perspective, share their stories and experience. But this really serves as a starting point for each of the prompts that we're seeing. It's an invitation for all of you to add to like say if it's sparking new ideas or if you want to challenge what they're saying or what everybody else is saying in this room. This is really a moment to just hear different perspectives, build off of each other and learn from each other. Great. All right. Let's go over to our wonderful panelists. Cavell, do you want to take a few seconds to introduce yourself, please?
Hi there, and good morning, good evening, everyone. I'm Cavell Dove. I'm working with a program in Indonesia at the moment, but today I'm representing UNCDF for some work that we did in Myanmar for several years. So really happy to be with you all today.
Welcome. Moon.
Hi, once again, I'm Moon. I'm working at BRAC Microfinance in Bangladesh as the digital lead, where we're designing digital products and services for our existing clients. Thank you.
And I guess that's my turn. Hi, my name's Lisha. I lead A6 based out of Indonesia. And what we're doing with the WRF project is increasing the capacity of women entrepreneurs to use supply chain finance and go digital. And we use comic strips and e-learning platforms to do that.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining. We're so excited to hear more from you. What I'm now going to ask is we can stop the screen share. We can put Zoom in a way that we can see all of the faces who are in the room. You can unpin us. It's always very uncomfortable to be pinned. And I'm going to ask everyone in the room to look at the tab that they have open where the Creative Tensions platform is. So you can leave Zoom open on the side and just see our faces, but we're going to move to the field where you see all the smiley faces. All right, so how this is going to work is Creative Tensions is a way that I will be revealing a number of prompts and you'll see two possible responses at either end of a spectrum, one on the left and one on the right. And if you reflect on that prompt, you will position yourself. You can move your face to either the left or the right or the middle or like halfway or somewhere, depending on where you stand on an issue. So with every prompt, you have a few seconds to think and place yourself. And then I will reveal all the other avatars, so you will actually see where everybody else has placed themselves and where you stand as a group. And ideally, we'll see a distribution, meaning that we have different perspectives, and that will allow for a really rich and juicy discussion. So a few tips as you do this. First of all, go with your gut. You'll see that of the two answers, both might seem right or wrong. There is no right or wrong. And don't overthink it. Just go and move where your instinct sends you. Secondly, stay open to movement. Good dialogue requires that you listen to each other and you can respond to nuance. So after you hear somebody speak, you might want to change your view. So feel free to just move more towards that person that was just speaking, because that's just really interesting. It's like an empathy building process as well. And thirdly, define your terms. You'll see some words or sentences here that might be interpreted differently by different people, which is also a very interesting thing that exists. So good dialogue also requires people to surface like your underlying assumptions, so that you remove any chance of misinterpretation. So if you totally interpreted a question differently than another person, say so, because that really is an interesting different perspective, and like it's good for all of us to know, okay, we're all coming with different interpretations and assumptions. All right, we're gonna start the experience. First of all, I have a few warm-ups for all of us to become familiar with the platform. So I'm gonna start a session, and these are just for fun. These are not really on women's financial inclusion or so, or digital economy. So, okay, here we go. My favorite meal of the day is. There we go. We have a bunch of breakfast lovers in the room, dinner, and people who are in the middle. So this is the fun thing here. I can give the floor to somebody to explain why they are. So Oishi, would you be open to explaining why you love dinner?
Thank you, Luan. Well, I think it's the largest meal of the day, technically, so I look forward to it.
It's the largest meal of the day, she says. Well, okay, well, let's go to the other side. Sakshi? Sorry to put you on the spot, but what's your answer to that? You indicated breakfast.
Sorry, absolutely. Thank you so much. So I love breakfast just because things get started. I get a good egg with lots of veggies, so always excited for that one.
That sounds like a big meal as well. Big meals on either side. Okay, so this is just a playful thing. This is how it works. So I'm gonna go over to the next prompt, which is also warm up. I love the ocean or mountains. Ooh. There we go. So I think there is a way to raise your hand if you like, if you want to give some more background to your positioning. Is anybody going to play with that? Bottom right, there's a button. No? All straightforward? Okay. Let's move on. The third warm-up and the last warm-up, eating out, is about the food or the experience. There we go. Okay, most people think it's about the experience. Does anybody want to give a bit more background? Okay, I'm just gonna, if nobody raises their hand, I'm forced to put somebody on the spot. Let's hear from, Yasmin.
I will unmute myself, but keep my video off because it's very late here in Washington, D.C. But for me, my husband is a wonderful cook. So I eat at home for the food and I eat out for the experience. That's how it works in our house.
Ooh, great. Wonderful story. I see some people moving here. Who is this? RS. I caught you. You moved to the left. Can you explain what made you move?
Oops, sorry about that. I was just late to the game.
That's okay. I wanted to tease out and show how it looks like if you hear somebody speak and you like change your perspective. So that can totally happen during a conversation. So right here we saw MD move to the experience side. So that's just okay. All right. Are we all feeling good about using this? We're ready for some real talk? All right. There we go. Real talk. Okay. You have a bit longer to position yourself for these ones. I'm gonna reveal the first one. To advance inclusive economies for women, we should focus our energy on products and services or social norms. There we go. All right, I'm gonna ask one of our conversation catalysts, our panelists, to get us started around this one. Lisha, do you want? Yeah, tell us.
I think it's somewhere in the middle, but more towards the social norms. We can come up with the products and services, but when the society still has this image, if you're a successful businesswoman, you mustn't be, there's a likely chance you're not a good mother or you're not a good daughter, then your products and services will have some barriers in adoption.
Interesting. Are you speaking out of experience in Indonesia?
Yeah, because there's some of the areas where we are trying to introduce supply chain finance. For them, it's like, yeah, but I'm only doing business as a side, not like my main purpose. And if I get rich and then my husband goes off and marries someone else, I'm going to lose half everything I built.
Interesting. So Moon has positioned herself right here on the product and services side. Do you want to share more?
Of course. I think, yes, in one way I agree, like it's a very tricky question. I want to be in the middle because social norms is something we're changing social norms and we're trying to work at the community level at BRAC. And, it cannot happen in a day, right? We need to continue to work towards changing these social norms. The reason why I put myself in the products and services part is because, I would like to give a particular example on this. So what we've seen that in microfinance, we have 90% of our clients who are women. And we always need to keep in mind how to design financial products and services to cater to this segment. And at the moment, we're working with bKash, where they have a payment process our clients are currently using, and it's 11 to 12 steps. We're bringing it down to 5 to 6 steps so that it's easier for our clients to make this payment and they don't feel scared that, okay, there's so many steps that I need to do. And I think in that way, we could see that we can ensure that slowly we can bring these clients and make them use digital financial services. And as I said, that we need to continue to keep on innovating with new initiatives and change norms. And we always need to think that our clients come first and equip them so that they can access financial services and integrate them with the digital ecosystem. Thanks.
Great insight. Thank you for sharing. I'd love to hear from one person who has placed themselves on the social norm side. Is there anyone of this group here that wants to speak? Lamia, Owen, Sakshi, Antonique, Waihin, William. Antonique, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, sorry, I was raising my hand on the Zoom screen. Of course, that doesn't work. But here you go. I put myself on the social norms, but I actually also was wondering, listening to Moon, that it actually really depends on who the we is, right? Where should we focus our energy on? I believe different actors can do different things, and I really appreciate what Moon was sharing about the products and services, and hopefully there's progress being made. One thing that I have seen in our work at CGAP is that oftentimes providing access and better products and services is only getting us so far for providing women the tools that they might need. But if we're not addressing some of the barriers in women's lives that actually hinder them to have more agency and control over their resources, for instance, then having access to a wonderful product doesn't really get there to empower these women. And that's why I think we really need to much more deeply think about how to address gender norms that actually prevent women from moving forward and participating fully in the economy. And there's different ways we can do that. There's different actors needed for that. One thing that I'm absolutely certain of is that all the actors in the financial system need to much better understand how gender norms are actually affecting everyone's behavior, not only the women, but also the financial service providers, policymakers, and everybody else in the system. So I think we have heard also throughout the FinEquity annual meeting that gender norms keep coming up, but we need to get much more intentional about figuring out how to address them by understanding and figuring out where are they relaxing, or where are we able to nudge norms in the direction that helps women benefit from those financial services products that are very well designed.
Yeah, wise words. Thank you for sharing. Sakshi has a reaction.
Thank you so much. Now, I just wanted to quickly add with an example here, and I'm completely aligned with the points actually that Antonique made. But you know, it sort of felt like that while you're doing the products and services design, in a way, social norms are things that get incorporated. And the quick example that sort of came to my mind was, you know, when I'm talking about let's talk about MFIs, and you know, this whole thing about SHG groups, and obviously a lot of that started in Bangladesh, but many other countries adopted it. The SHGs essentially started with many of these women folks coming together. And you know, as a product to service evolution, what I felt like we saw was, you know, many of these MFIs then also started to sort of have women as their agents where possible, in a way to sort of, because that's easier. So it's taking into consideration the social norm that women might be a lot more comfortable to engage with women. It might be a lot more easier for women to go to their house and take their pictures and, you know, get them registered onto the MFI platform if at all there's a digital sort of piece. So just wanted to highlight that there are maybe many examples to see how they fit in together. That's all. Thank you.
Yeah, great reaction. Nandini. And then after this, we go to the next prompt because we have a few more. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'll preempt anything, but I think that 2 points. The reason I'm in the middle is because I think while social norms are super important and often underlying barriers to why we can't get those numbers for access and uptake, like Antonique said, there has to be a driver to change them. And I think that comes from products and services and the benefits that a family or a community can receive by women having access and usage of those products and services. But the other element that I put in the chat was, something that I've been hearing a little bit from various colleagues is the social and cultural norms piece is a little bit driven by a global North worldview on what social and cultural norms should be. And while I do believe in the values-based approach that women should be equal to men, and I think most of the people, hopefully, maybe most of the people in this audience do as well, how that equality manifests itself may look different depending on the place that you're in. And so, and how that translates into usage and access of products and services also may translate differently. So I just wonder whether or not that is something that we are also thinking about when we talk about this huge issue of social and cultural norms.
Yeah, very great points. We'll sit with that for a second. All right, I'm gonna go to the next prompt. Here comes. We should start with building knowledge or creating access. You're all spreading out very nicely. You can see in the back end. All right. I'd love to hear from Cavell, one of our other panelists. Cavell, where are you?
Hi there. Can you hear me? Hi. Yeah, I guess when I was thinking, I was just thinking of an example of when I thought about this question. And so, when we were working in Myanmar on a gender smart product design, one of the interesting findings of the work was that a lot of clients actually didn't know about the types of products. Like they were really stuck in group loan programs because they had very little idea. They had no knowledge about other types of options or services. And I also think about the complexity of financial services and products. And it's just getting more complex, more products, more ways and mechanisms for using those products. And so I think it's so important to just be able to help build knowledge about what exists and why, to keep people safe and to give them, those kinds of background to then be able to choose wisely and choose what fits their needs.
Great points. Okay, I saw some people move around here on the right. Do people want to react to this? I think it's our Mo and Moni will move a little bit. Yasmin is, okay, yeah.
Hi there. So it's just a click. So yeah, I strongly believe we should start with creating access. So at the same time, it's also important to keep building knowledge and support the sustainability of that start when we start with the accessibility. But end of the day, definitely we need to start with the accessibility for the women, especially, and definitely the building knowledge or knowledge building on financial literacy, financial education comes later. Overall knowledge on the micro and macroeconomics in later on for make it more sustainable, the overall services. Thank you.
Okay, do you have any specific examples of how you approach this?
Yeah, traditionally, I'm working in BRAC microfinance. So as Munapa said, like we used to, the first thing we enable is the accessibility for the women. Now we have later on, we came up with financial literacy training for the lender, for the borrowers, and that is we have been continuing for about 6 to 7 years now, till now. So this is we have seen, like, when we started the financial literacy training, it was not well organized. People had very little idea. Even they were with us for many years. The literacy part was largely absent. But now, after like 6, 7 years, if I say, what we have been experiencing, that they understand and they have a better credit behavior now. So that is what I say, like for the sustainability of this approach, the building knowledge always important, but definitely it is a later part of accessibility.
Right. Great.
Luan, can I add with Monori and give you a very specific example on DFS that we launched a few years ago?
Please.
So, so what happened was in 2012 when we started off with Bikash, and in BRAC we always do focal group discussions before we do a pilot of any project, and then we eventually scale up that project when we see the good results. So in one of the projects that we started off with Bikash was that our clients were doing long-term savings with us. They could give their installments through Bikash, and at that time Bikash was very new to them. They didn't know how to open wallets, what can they do with it. So what we did was we did rigorous campaigns and onboarded our clients. We had frontline field staff who actually used visual aids to educate 4.5 million clients back then in the group meetings. And we even taught the clients or their family members on how to make the payments. There was a detailed process cards that we still have for them now. And for that particular time, we hired 400 project staff who would help us teach the clients. And as I said earlier, that we had specific field staff who were agents to open the wallets. So I think during that time, we saw that about 300,000 clients, they were opening their wallets, and eventually we could see that the transactions were going up, and now we have even our loan installment collections, we see 1.5 million transactions happening every month. So I feel that this is very important, that how you're actually onboarding your clients in a new initiative and making them feel comfortable in it. But there's a lot to do still now. Thank you.
Great insights. Well, I feel the chat is very active. I feel we can go on and like have all of the different things here. Super interesting. I'm going to move us on because we have a few more prompts. I'm hearing that we are running out of time. Okay, the next one. To participate in the digital economy, women mostly need confidence building or capacity building? And I'd love to use this prompt to hear a bit more specific stories of women you've met, or like different archetypes or personas that you're running into. I feel that there's more heat around. Well, yeah, well, a lot of people in the middle. Somebody who's on a confidence building side. Can I ask one of my panelists? Let me see. Oh, actually, Lisha, this is interesting. You are here a bit solo on a capacity building side.
I'm alone. With capacity, then you can have more confidence.
With capacity, you get more confidence. What do people think about that?
Like if you know how to swim, then you're confident to jump into the pool.
Cavell, I see you are on this side of the spectrum. Do you have a reaction to this? Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh my goodness, it's such a hard one to answer is my reaction, because they're so connected. I did go slightly more on the confidence because just in my work, I feel so many times working with women at a village level or in communities, if they don't build their confidence, they won't share, they won't take some of those risks perhaps that will be so beneficial for them. But absolutely, they need skill building to build confidence. So it is kind of it's a continuum, not either or. Yeah.
I'm saying none of these might be correct, and there might be a bit of both. Nisha, put your hand up.
Yeah, I hear Alicia's point. If you know how to swim, then you'll jump into the water. But also the point of, like, for me to be able to feel confident that I can go learn how to swim, I need some confidence for that. So that's why I think, once you have some, especially with women, often it's you see opportunities are there, but you don't feel like you can actually take them or grab them. So initially starting with confidence and then layering on capacity would be my thought process.
Yeah. Great. Chicken and egg, yeah, totally. Okay, Nandini, and then we're going to move on to the next one.
I just think confidence is so important in life. When we talk about what we want to do with our UNCDF teams internally and how we want to train them and increase capacity, I actually start with build their confidence and capacity. And I start with confidence because I feel like learning is always going to be a journey. There's always going to be new things you have to learn. But if you have the confidence that you can learn it and that you can take on these challenges and you can reach out to the resources you need to learn what the next thing is, that's gold, right? That's invaluable. And so I just think confidence is like the most important thing. And I think if we can build that, everything will follow.
Great. Strong perspective here. And I see thumbs up in Zoom based on what you were saying. All right. Thank you so much for sharing. Next prompts. The biggest reason why women haven't been valued as a segment is the business case or social norms. We just lost the screen share, Nisha. Yeah, thank you. Right. I'm looking for Cavell. Right, here you are. You had an interesting take on what it takes really from like staff internally on like their perception of social norms. Can you share what you wrote, the point you wanted to make? How does like a staff of a particular organization, how does that even affect what is being put out in the market and how they view women?
Well, I think going back to some of the research that we've done, I just think it's so important to consider that, of course, staff of an organization, that institutional side is also a big factor, of course, and they reflect the community where they live, where they work, where they've been raised. And so that's, I think, part of what I was talking about earlier, just with the panelists around this is a key factor for us in terms of addressing social norms, understanding that they're coming from the same kind of place. And it's not something that an external expert will have success in changing. It's about just understanding where they're coming from. And I think just maybe if I can just add one more point, like in this question, when I think about this question, to me, it's a lot about gender bias. And social norms really reflect, for me, gender bias, the fact that we can often be gender blind unless we're intentional. So for me, I think that's why starting with social norms here is really important.
Great. Curious to hear if anybody in the room has any examples of how organizations have been addressing this, like servicing their own bias and addressing that in the way they work. Does anybody have any examples? Nisha, did you put up your hand?
Yeah, I'm not going to share an example of something that I've worked on, but it was an example that was shared actually earlier today. For some of you might have been in the FinEquity meeting earlier this morning. We were talking about one of the examples of this bank in Pakistan, which is the largest commercial bank, Habib Bank. And they, when they looked at their data, the number of women they were serving was very, very small. And once they did some focus group with their loan officers and staff, they realized that the staff had their own perceptions about, that women don't make very good clients. They weren't really targeting them in their outreach. So they actively kind of developed a whole strategy to retrain their staff by understanding and acknowledging their own biases. And that was, done over several years, but just being able to uncover that is a very important step. And then actually addressing that, because by default, a lot of financial institutions, they're just designed to serve a specific market, which is often the men, because they're the major users of financial services. So when you don't think of women as users of financial services, you sort of tend to just ignore them.
Yeah, so well said. We always say we are a design firm, so we always say if you design for everybody, you design for the man, actually. So need to be super aware of that. Okay, Sakshi, and then we're gonna move to the last prompt. Where are you?
Nothing needed to add, to be honest. I think Nisha sort of already covered it, but I just wanted to highlight that because you were looking for specific examples in my previous role wherein we used to work with MNOs and MFIs, we would have this GSMA's Connected Women Commitment. And at that time we would work with MNOs on their MNO operations as well as their associated EMI or mobile money operations. We'd work with them to make them understand, why it's important to focus on women. And have specific exercise and tools created to help them understand what percentage of their current customers are women. And as many of us would know, many a times they didn't even know that. It was always masked because it's the man of the house in whose name the phone is registered while it's actually being used by women. So we had tools being developed, using artificial intelligence and the back-end tech to understand, is it a male or a woman, looking at patterns, and then sort of giving them a sense of, see, this percentage of your women, of your customers is already women. There is potential, and then designing products for them. That's all. Thank you.
Oh, great point. Yeah, the importance of sex disaggregated data, right? If you don't even measure who your clients are, you're blind, you're faring blind. So great comments. All right, I'm gonna skip a few, and I'm going to the last prompt, which is really the one, let me see. There we go. Transformative change requires us to speed up the unlocking of an untapped market or invest in new modes of collaboration. Ooh. Oh. Yeah, if you click that, okay, all good, yeah. So lots of people wanted to collaborate here. Let me see, I'd love to hear from Cavell, who has the big partnership set up in Myanmar with a whole bunch of MFIs. Where are you, Cavell?
Hi.
Here, yeah.
I'm such a strong believer in collaboration because this is, it's gender norms are, it's community, right? It's how we live, it's personal, it's our teams, it's our work together. And so I think if we talk about transformative change, it has to be in relation to one another. in relationship to understanding power and how that's used amongst us and between us and all the different types of power that exist. And yeah, I'm just such a strong believer in collaboration, and we've seen such positive results from bringing people together. And just maybe one other comment, you know, when we were talking about staff of financial institutions, the other thing I've loved about our work in Myanmar is the energy that the staff of, like staff from BRAC as an example. Lovely to hear you speaking earlier, William. But just the interest and the energy and the excitement and the desire for learning and for discussion. So I think that we can tap that through collaboration approaches where we put people together and we learn from one another, and we journey together.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing. Moon also had a good point in like the brief where you were saying, okay, you know, you cannot do this alone. Do you want to share more about your perspective?
Yes, of course, Luan. Thank you. I think to be successful in this digital transformation journey, like you, of course, cannot do everything on your own. You need to go in collaboration with partners, and we should focus on the strengths of the partners that you're partnering with. Like, for example, our partnership with bKash, since we started this long time back in 2013, and we implemented, you know, wallet opening and then in long-term savings of our clients through bKash. So when the pandemic struck, it really helped us to leverage this platform, and we could immediately distribute cash transfers, or even for our microfinance operations to keep running, we introduced loan collection through bKash. And so at the moment, what the payment system I just mentioned earlier, even that we're not developing only with bKash, we also have a third party who's helping us to develop the platform. And we're also partnered with telecom providers so that once any of our client makes a bKash transaction, they can get an SMS. So I feel that every block needs to be connected, and it cannot happen in a day. It will take some time, but it can only happen if you're working with partners who are good at it, rather than trying to build everything in-house.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Great. Yes, so it requires all the different partners to play to their strengths. And if we go back to the whole discussion about the social norms, like how do we change social norms? It requires all of us. Absolutely. Like the more the better to just reiterate what the possibilities are, and therefore we need to collaborate to also bring that common message across. Great. All right. I know we're at time. This was really lovely to do with you all. I hope this was engaging and fun, and that we all learned and rethink our, you know, our perspectives and all. I'm going to hand off to, is it Sakshi? Right. All right. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Loan. And now over to Sakshi.
Thank you, Georgie. Thank you, everybody. I would definitely want to start by thanking all the speakers for their insights and audience for actually listening in and for their questions and for such an engaging chat. Actually, definitely love the exercise, Luan, that you just did around you know, on these social norms and how different members in the panel actually sort of have different views. I want to wrap up the session from my end, maybe by just briefly picking up some points from, you know, different speakers which sort of stood out for me. And I'm definitely going to go back, you know, with these to the work that we do at the end of the day and make sure that we implement some of that in our day-to-day activities. So there was a point I think that Angelique made, which is about, and that was in response to one of your questions, that different actors have a different role to play. And you know, when we are trying to build digital inclusive DFS ecosystem, while Moon sort of indicated the product development side, or, you know, developing right products and services for women. At the same time, maybe if you look at different stakeholders, they might have different priorities, and we all come together into this. So social norm requires all of us to come together and work towards it, and not all of us to work in silos. The piece around partnership definitely sort of stood out to me. There was a point that Nandini made, you know, which was about we are all still looking for that hybrid digital and physical training model. We've started using this term called digital plus physical. So, you know, we are all looking for that model that might effectively sustainably allow us to reach women and for them to get real benefits out of it. And there was another point which is about, and I think this was what Nisha made, this was about often with women, you see opportunities, but you're not sure if you can take them, if you'll be able to justify them. So that confidence piece with women sort of many a times, and that doesn't have to be people we work with on the field. Actually, it's us as well. It could be me as well on many occasions. So these were some pieces definitely that stood out. And I'm very thankful to get to know about the work that colleagues from BRAC are doing in different markets, the Women Enterprise Recovery Fund piece, and the work our colleague Krishnan is doing in the Pacific. Just a few closing remarks, and then I'll definitely hand over the floor to if FinEquity team would want to say anything. So our strategy from UNCDF side has been around women as builders of digital economy. We try to focus on creating strategic partnerships at a global, regional, and country level, and complementing them with market facilitation and deep technical assistance to affect change on the ground, and try our best to sort of work towards removing these barriers for women's economic empowerment. We aim to implement tailored country strategies, whichever market now we're talking about Asia Pacific, so whichever market we are in order to decrease the digital divide for women and girls, and also use technology to improve women's economic opportunity. Women and girls are not just beneficiaries of our programs, they are agents of change, at least for the programs and many of these partners that we work with on WRF, who are the builders of the digital economy, and they have the ability to create a virtuous cycle of women's empowerment. They hold the key to sustainable business models and often make better digital finance agents. I think there are researchers which sort of clearly point towards that. Women are also excellent entrepreneurs. We work with a few, and we try to have more and more of them, through our work or otherwise, and supporting the growth of their families and their local economies. Especially from UNCDF side, we try to work with women to help them earn more. And that's important, to have control of their money, sort of take charge, and also to have access to critical services which are specific to their country context. It could be health, it could be energy. And we're really grateful to have had the opportunity to be here to work with FinEquity team. Thank you, Nisha, to work with BRAC team on putting this together. And thanks again to all our speakers. I'm being told to remind everybody about the survey evaluation, to fill out the evaluation that will show up with Zoom. Thank you.
Great, thank you, everyone. And my closing words are, we ended the panel discussion with saying we need to invest in new modes of collaboration. So hopefully you will engage with FinEquity and use that as a space for collaboration. Hope to see you all in person and virtually, and continue these conversations. Thank you so much. Yes, we'll publish the recording of this session on the FinEquity page. So make sure you're signed up. All right, thanks everyone.